my time.
Gentleman from New York, Mr. Langworthy, is recognized for questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I thank the witnesses for coming in here today. These two topics that these resolutions relate to are very familiar to me as a New Yorker. We in New York have had to fight back very hard against a relaxation of criminal justice policies, the elimination of cash bail, and we've seen what the devastating impact that has had on New York City and all the residents of the state of New York. I have led, as a statewide political leader, a lawsuit to stop the non-citizen voting that was put on the books by the New York City Council under very similar arguments that the D.C. City Council is trying to put here. We have, I believe this great capital city belongs to all Americans, and this is the hallowed, halls of our government, the institutions, the buildings, the monuments. We are going to invite all of the youth of America will come here in the next several months as part of their education and rites of passage to travel to our nation's capital. And for us to be in a position where we're essentially not acting, I do believe there's been umbrage here by the ranking member that this isn't germane and this isn't what we were sent here to discuss. But taking care of this capital for all Americans is I think, a critical role of this Congress. And, some of the startling and alarming statistics that exist on the rise of crime, I just like to, we have reported cases of sexual abuse have risen 117% in the District of Columbia. And that is just a disgusting figure. As we are going to invite school groups and youth to the Capitol here, as they are part of our constituencies, I want to ask the ranking member, Raskin, how is reducing sentences on first-degree sexual assault and first-degree sexual abuse of a minor going to solve what is clearly a horrific problem of increased cases of abuse?
Okay, forgive me, because you might be more familiar with that provision. I did just look up the felony murder, where there was a new recommendation made. Some states, including Kentucky, don't even have felony murder as a statute, so I can look into that specific one. But I would suggest that the right analogy to think about, I was thinking about my friend Mr. Roy and what he was saying, is the capital cities of the states where we live in. The people who live in Austin, Texas are not disenfranchised, and the state government doesn't dictate to them everything that they do just because they happen to live in the jurisdiction where the Capitol building is. And I think that should be true of all 50 states. And if we want to liken ourselves to a state legislature over a city, we should show the people of that city the same respect that the state legislatures show the people who are in the cities and towns that we represent.
We are not discussing D.C. statehood here, and as we are all members of Congress, but as a father, it is mind-boggling to see that the District of Columbia, faced with skyrocketing numbers like that, rather than focus on their time and their energy on the victims of these cases, rather than work to make sure that staffing levels are where they should be, as Mayor Bowser herself points out, in order to ensure a speedy trial for some resolution for victims, but instead they are concerned about how to reduce sentences for people who commit some of these heinous, heinous crimes. And on to the voting rights matter. Just several questions for Ranking Member Raskin. Do you support allowing non-citizen staff at the Embassy of the People's Republic of China the right to vote in local D.C. elections?
Yeah, I have absolutely no say in it. And if they ask me for my advice, I would say that people who represent foreign governments shouldn't be able to vote in local elections. It's obviously a minuscule number of people. I can't imagine that would affect a school board election there. But if, I would leave that up to the people of Washington, D.C. Remember, it's about local non-citizen voting. It's not about federal. They're not represented in Congress anyway, but even the non-voting delegate position would be immune to this. So I think we're in search of a horror story here.
But we do have a say in this. Do you support allowing non-citizen staff at the Embassy of the Russian Federation the right to vote in local D.C. elections?
I have opposed Vladimir Putin's massive social disinformation campaign against American democracy. I've opposed all contacts that the Trump administration had with the Putin administration, and I'm opposed to Russian subversion of democracy all over the world. So if they ask me my advice, I would say vote against that.
What, Ranking Member, what protections are in place to ensure that foreign nationals that are here that may be enfranchised for local elections, that those voting lists aren't commingled when it comes to, say, presidential elections?
That's a great question, and if we had a hearing, we might be able to find out by asking the head of the Board of Elections to come in and to see how they've separated them. But there are lots of jurisdictions in the country which do allow local non-citizen voting in school board elections and so on, because they want people to be involved in their kids' education. So we could ask how they divide the voting lists.
Well, voting is a core tenet of what it means to be a citizen of this great country, and this so-called voting rights law actually dilutes the rights of the American citizens and devalues what citizenship actually means. This is a country, and this isn't about geographic expression. The bottom line is allowing non-citizens here legally or illegally to vote in our domestic elections is a violation of our sovereignty and the sovereign rights of Americans. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I thank both of you for appearing today. The witnesses are excused.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I would